In this world, there are many different reasons to be drifting through cyberspace. Some of you are simply looking for love, and others are looking for violence. And what is it that I want? I want to get emotional with you. I want to be vulnerable with you. I want to share with you something special. I want to share with you 2 items from my Team Fortress 2 inventory. Specifically these 2. Now, while before we might have discussed the most iconic hat in the game or the lifeblood of the economy, today we're going to discuss 2 of my items. Not just items that are important to the game as a whole or anything, but items that are important to me. Have you ever gotten something in a game, whether it be rare, common, cheap, expensive, ugly, cool, or anything else that you can think of that stayed your favorite no matter what else you got? Have you ever gotten an item that stayed your favorite no matter how long you played? It might sound a little silly, but I want to talk to you about the relationships that people like you and I form with these virtual and intangible items. So please allow me to begin with a story. Let me set the scene. Let's rewind. Further back than the beginning of this video. Further than the Collector series. Further than the name BreadMann. Past all my old YouTube channels. Past all my old video projects. All the way back to the great year of 2015. Halloween night. A 14-year-old me was just playing his favorite game, enjoying the new festive maps and taunts that he bought from the store. It just so happened that this very night, I was feeling lucky. So I bought exactly 2 keys from the store. I wasn't expecting much, just a couple of new hats to add to my collection. I opened up the first one and received the Row Boot. Nothing special, just a plain engineer cosmetic for all you foot lovers out there. I then turned my attention to the second case. I looked at it for just a moment, and my mind started to race. My heart started beating faster. I found myself asking questions like what item will I get? Will it be rare?
What if I get more than 1 item? Maybe I'll get more taunts. Is this the crate that I've been waiting for? How many crates have I unboxed until now? What tier will my item be? Will I even like my item?
Oh, it's just my 5th prehistoric.
Hey, is that one purple?
It was! At exactly 8:43 p.m. on Halloween night, I had just unboxed an incredibly rare, unusual hat. Knowing the public would need to see my reaction to this historic event, I slammed the record button.
I'm so excited. This is oh my god. Oh, it's amazing.
I was thrilled. I had just unboxed the world's first, maybe second or third, unusual prehistoric pullover. Now, while it wasn't exactly what I was looking to unbox at that very moment, the prehistoric pullover was easily the highlight of the case, as it's one of the cutest hats in the game, with the very special ability to be able to be equipped to every single class. The effect that was attached to my newborn child was It's a Puzzle to Me, which featured a small ghost engulfed in a green trailing orb of light floating in a circle around my head. It was both a hat I was very fond of and the effect I was wishing I would get if I were to ever perchance unbox an unusual. This unusual pairing went together like cheese and a fine wine. Or like a Keanu Reeves skin and the fresh emote for my younger audience out there. This was quite possibly the greatest moment I had ever had playing the game. And there's something just very nostalgic about having a recording of this game I loved bring me a joy that can only be described as pure, genuine, and simple. But it didn't stay simple for long. See, I had a dilemma on my hands. This was an incredibly rare item. I had probably the only one in existence. You could wear it on any character, and most importantly, it wasn't ugly. Which means that this hat was expensive. At the time, this hat was valued at 215 keys, or for you less cultured few out there, upwards of $500. So the question was, what do I do with this hat? There were 2 options. The first, I sell it. I make more money than a teenage me had ever seen before. Live a life of luxury, never working, never worrying, never having to wake up wondering if I'll be able to pay my bills this month. I would live the life that everybody strives for. Or I could keep the hat. My very first unusual. I could nurture it, raise it, and reap all the rewards that one can get from a virtual hat. This choice, this life-changing decision, it was too much for me to make all on my own, so quite literally, the moment I stopped recording, I got up from my desk, left my room, and went to consult with the smartest person I know, my mom.
Well, you know, I don't understand your games and some of the stuff that goes on with all that anyway. But I remember it was the prize, or you got this so you could move on in the game or something, wasn't it? I don't remember that deep of details, but I remember something along those lines that you had this thing that wasn't real, but you were going to sell it for real money.
Yeah. And after minutes of intense, grueling debate, I made my choice. I was going to keep it. Now, right about now, you might find yourself asking what I meant by reaping the rewards of owning a virtual hat. The reward is status. See, if the Gibbous was the difference between the free-to-plays and the 1%, then an unusual is the difference between the most popular and fashionable man in any one match and literally everyone else in the entire game. After obtaining such an attractive item, suddenly everybody wanted to be my friend. People would tell me how lucky and cool I was to have such an amazing item. When I would join the server, crowds would draw simply to bask in the glory of my expensive hat. People would message me, they'd say things like, "Nice hat, dude." "Whoa, man, that thing is mad rare." "I've got an amazing trade deal for you. I'll give you 10 of my unusuals just for your one. I promise I'm good for it." I actually think it's really interesting, the difference in the way people started to treat me before and after I got my unusual. Even though I already had hundreds of hours logged into the game, it wasn't until I got a hat that people respected that they started to treat me like a veteran player. Unusuals have this way of becoming a part of your identity as a member of the community, rather than just a cosmetic that sits on your head. Something that you used to see a lot from creators was this almost mascot-like set of cosmetics that they would use as sort of a persona, with the unusuals serving as kind of a watermark to set apart the big players from their in-game copycats. These several-of-a-kind items really became an identifier for you as a pro player and as a TF2 content creator, and at the time, I leaned into that heavily. Overnight, my profile picture changed. Inspired by music, I had a brand new Steam group. The hat was on all my classes and featured in every single video. Just like when you see Miami Nights and think of Uncle Dane, I wanted you to see this and think of me. The way that I saw it, I wasn't some nobody YouTuber anymore. I was the guy with the iconic prehistoric pullover. And it went on like this for about another 2 years. It went on until the smell of smoke filled my channel, until all you could hear were the embers flying off a great collection. I wouldn't blame you for thinking that the event I'm describing was the burning of the Library of Alexandria, but what I'm actually detailing was far worse. Of course, I'm referring to the time that I sold my Team Fortress 2 inventory. See, I was under the impression at the time that the game was dying and that there was no content enough to be made about it, so as I moved on to talking about Overwatch, I started to thin my great collection. First went the taunts, and then my spare crates, and then 90% of all my cosmetics, and finally, on June 8th, 2017, at 1:14 p.m., my unusual prehistoric pullover was sold. Gone. For just $117, and the worst part is, I can't even remember what I spent the money on, so bringing us back up to the present, all I'm left with is regret. Regret and a wish to see the one that got away just one last time. It's been years, and I'm tired of being alone with this pain, with this guilt that I've accumulated for giving away my hat. I need to share this pain with someone, so allow me to introduce someone who also feels strongly about a hat.
I'm Skymin. I make a lot of TF2 content. You can call me the TF2 girl, because I think that's what a lot of people know me as.
So, Skymin, we all know you for your unusual vintage Tyrolean. But how did you get it?
So back in high school, I did swimming. And I was pretty good, and my school's team was not good. So my school had never had a female swimmer go to state. So my partner at the time decided to make a bet with me. The incentive was basically, if you get to state at one race, I don't care what it is, I will give you $100 to go buy the unusual you have been wanting.
So it was kind of like getting your dream unusual.
Yes, because I had been wanting it for a while, but being a broke high schooler, I didn't have the money to drop like $50 on an unusual, because it was about that range.
So did getting the hat affect which class you mained, and overall your brand, and who you ended up making sort of a persona as a content creator?
No, it definitely didn't affect the class I mained. I actually used to really hate first-person shooters back in middle school and a little bit of high school. TF2 changed that, and because I was not only limited to a Mac, but also because I had zero skill and zero experience on this sort of control scheme, I ended up landing on Medic because I was like, I can still contribute even though I have zero aiming ability. Anyhow, in terms of brand, I would say it definitely has. I've seen a lot of people have recognized me in-game over the years. And actually, funny enough, last May I was at a local convention, and one of the days I was dressed up as the casual medic, medic without the coat, and he just has the vest on. But I also had my hat. I kind of hear someone behind me muttering like, oh, that's a medic. It's like, oh, is that YouTuber medic? And they walk away, like without acknowledging me. I hear them say this. About 5 minutes later, they come up to me and they're like, hey, are you just dressed up as Skymin or are you Skymin? In terms of like hat and person association, that's a whole other, that could be its whole video in and of itself of like TF2 is super unique in the fact that loadouts are synonymous with personalities.
But emotionally, how do you feel about your hat? Say if you were to lose your hat, if anything ever happened to it, would that affect you at all?
It would hurt, but not like, I wouldn't be crying in a corner, hurting. I'll say if it was a few years ago, probably more than it should have. But I am a totally well-adjusted adult.
No, I agree. No, you're so right. You'd have to be really poorly adjusted to spend any amount of time in your adult life grieving a virtual hat, so anyway, bye. Skymin was trying to hide it, but she loves that hat just as much as I love mine. She obviously understands the connection that I and many others have with their hats, and that clear love and passion she displayed for virtual cosmetics actually helped me see the loss of my unusual in a new light. And to understand what that light is, I need to tell you about another item of mine. My Fishcake. Now, this item is truly nothing special. It's not rare, it's not expensive, it's still available to craft, but despite all that, you probably won't see a single person using it, and that's because it's a promotional reskin of an unpopular item from an already unpopular game. It's an unremarkable item in every way, the exact opposite of everything an unusual hat represents. And all that being said, it's been a staple of my heavy loadout since October 25th, 2015 at 2:57 p.m. Now, the reason that I use my Fishcake almost 8 years after getting it is a little weird, because it's not exactly my favorite lunchbox item, and I don't use it for strategy, and while I think it's a fun and cute reskin, that's also not why I use it. See, on some unknown day before I got my Fishcake, a friend of mine, who I played TF2 with quite frequently, made a deal with me. I would give them some items, and they would trade them away, trade them up, and they would come back and give me a Fishcake. An item that I never saw anyone use and wanted really badly at the time. I don't know why. And then a few days later, I got it, I started to use it, and I fell in love with it. It was a gift from a friend that survived through it all. The days, the years, the liquidation of my inventory. It's a testament to a friendship that I don't have anymore. This friend and I played together for years, but kind of fell out of touch and then contact and don't speak anymore. All I have is this Fishcake, an item that reminds me of all the crazy and good times we had playing this game, like the time that we had our whole team build sentries and move them all the way up from the back of the map to the enemy spawn on Turbine. And it's these memories stored in my Fishcake that make me think of my unusual hat. See, the Fishcake wasn't actually crafted by my friend. It was traded away by some random person in a community server. The only evidence that this person ever even existed being in the item description. It's an item they lost a long time ago that continues to live on and spark joy through me. The legacy of their Fishcake goes on, and I can't help but want to believe that the same is true for my unusual hat. Though I traded it away and I miss it dearly, I hope that it brings some player out there as much joy as it brought me, being their dream unusual finally theirs. What I want most isn't to have my unusual back, I just want to know that somebody loves it as much as I did. And even though I'll never be able to get that experience for myself, I can give it to somebody else. Now, first things first, I have to find the person that crafted this thing, which shouldn't be too hard since their name is literally engraved on the item. So I gave the name a quick search on Steam, and it took me about 2 whole seconds to find the only profile of the same name. And after a little poking around, a little sleuthing, I found a couple interesting details about our suspect. First, about 4,691 hours logged into Team Fortress 2. And second, it came to my attention that their games library held several games that would award players with various uncommon achievement items, such as Red Orchestra 2, Spiral Knights, and Space Chem, the game one would need to obtain a Fishcake. Not only have I seemingly found another collector, but also a match. The next step was to reach out, and oh did I. First, I sent an email. And then I commented on their YouTube channel where they post, you guessed it, TF2 videos. A few days later I tweeted at them, and a few more days later I resorted to DMing their friend who they have a joint channel with on Instagram. And after about 2 weeks of trying to make contact, I got a DM back. Hi, is this?
That's me. Sorry I took so long getting back to you.
Oh no, you're totally fine. It's just nice to finally have gotten a hold of you.
So, what were you looking to talk about?
It was at this point that I regaled them with the story of my unusual, how I got it, what it did for me, how I lost it, and why that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Because I have an item of yours that you crafted and traded away almost 8 years ago in my inventory right now.
What is it?
I have your Fishcake.
Oh my god, I remember crafting that! That was such a long time ago.
I know, that's why I wanted to contact you so badly. I guess I just wanted to let you know that the item is still out there and still being used. I know it's kind of weird because I'm literally just some dude trying to emotionally connect over a nearly decade-old video game item, but I just feel like these virtual hats have a history to them, and almost write a story as they get passed around over the years, and I guess I just haven't really heard anyone talk about that before, so I finally wanted to share one of these stories.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I think it's cool that you reached out. I mean, I haven't actually thought about my Fishcake in years.
But this conversation never actually happened. I made the whole thing up, and that was a voice actress I hired for $5 and asked to pretend to be British. Unfortunately, there is no ending to this story. I did, in fact, get in contact with the person who made my Fishcake, but after reaching out and trying to set up an interview, they stopped messaging me and never got back. So here I am, with the story of a hat I loved and lost, and the story of a Fishcake that I'll keep using and loving. This isn't exactly the conclusion I was hoping for, but there is a little bit of good news. While writing the script for this and trying to contact the Fishcake crafter, my birthday passed. And I decided to treat myself to a few crates, so I unboxed the last few invasion cases that have been sitting in my inventory for the past 8 years, and as I unboxed the very last one, I received, for the second time ever, an unusual hat. and like a normal person, I named it after a hat that I once knew. Now, it's not my favorite hat or my favorite effect, but I love it. And I don't think I'll be selling this one anytime soon. So, happy birthday to me, and happy birthday to the newest addition to my great collection. So this video is actually part 1 of a 2-part video collaboration between myself and a friend, TF2, and fellow content creator Indy, who made their own video talking about another item that was loved and lost. So if you resonated with anything that I said here, be sure to go check out that video, and don't forget to tell Indy that I sent you.